Taxpayers will be made to foot the bill after vegan campaigners created havoc with coordinated protests across the country yesterday. In Melbourne, animal activists chained themselves to vans to block the major intersection in Melbourne, causing commuter chaos.
We want people to stop eating any animal products whatsoever. We want people to stop engaging in the practice of medical experiments and cosmetic tests on animals. We want people to stop wearing animals.
Police arrested more than 40 people, even cutting protesters from their chains to clear the area. The Prime Minister has called these protests un-Australian, saying his government will support any affected farmers wanting to pursue legal action.
The Commonwealth is totally open to supporting them in a test case to show these green-collared criminals that you don't get to go and pull the rug from under our Aussie farmers.
For more, let's bring in Chris Delforce, who's the director of Dominion, which is the documentary that sparked these protests, and Victorian Farmers Federation President David Joe Hinkie. Good morning to you both, gentlemen. Now, Chris, you released this documentary a year ago, so why stage these protests now?
Well, it's been a year since the documentary came out, and the fact is that much of what's happening on farms and slaughterhouses across the country is standard industry practice, legal practices every day, is completely unknown to most consumers. Most people don't know that the majority of pigs in Australia are killed in gas chambers, and the industry's been calling this humane for over 20 years. Anyone who takes just 2 minutes to watch some of that footage will see it's the furthest thing from humane, and hopefully by watching some of that footage or by watching the documentary Dominion, they'll begin to question what else the industry is saying is humane.
OK, protesters stormed abattoirs. We're looking at these pictures now from Goulburn yesterday. We're hearing reports from Queensland that livestock is being stolen and that fences are being cut and animals are being caught in these fences running out onto roads. David, farmers, livestock is their livelihood. What do you say to Chris on this issue?
Well, first of all, I've got to say that we're very lucky that we're in a country where we've got choice, and that choice is whatever product you'd like to consume, we produce it. We produce it to a very high standard, and it's quite heavily regulated. Whoever would like to choose their choice of food is quite open to them. They can do as they please. But when you take that extra step, when you actually enter people's properties, when you violate their businesses who are law-abiding, who actually go about their everyday business, not harming anyone else, that's when we've got a concern, and especially when you take it to the next extent where you go from having your own discussions but then imposing it on others. And what we saw yesterday, once again, is completely unacceptable. We're open to having the discussion around where does your food come from, and in fact we encourage people to do that. But we've got to get down to some facts here, and that is that we do and have the world leading practices in a lot of areas in agriculture. We don't accept anybody who doesn't adhere to the highest animal welfare standards that we do have, and to target farmers and farming families especially is absolutely ludicrous, and it's something that we won't stand for.
Yeah, Chris, the Prime Minister has called this activism un-Australian. He's called you green-collar criminals. It's an attack on farmers, which goes to the heart of the country. What do you think the Prime Minister is wrong, Chris?
I think most Australians are opposed to animal cruelty, and if they knew that they were funding it every time they purchase meat, dairy and eggs, they might think twice. These world-leading practices, including shredding all the male chicks in the egg industry because they'll never be able to lay eggs, and killing all the male calves in the dairy industry because they'll never be able to produce milk. People deserve the right to make informed choices, but they need all the facts. The industry is hiding behind labels like ethical, humane, free-range, happy meat, happy eggs. They're not showing customers what these so-called best practices actually are. That's what's catalogued for 2 hours in the film Dominion. It's all the industry standard stuff that they're saying is okay. We believe people have the right to see what is actually happening and make up their own minds, but they need the facts in order to do so.
David, do you think farmers are hiding behind labels like ethical?
Absolutely not. We've been enjoying animal products for absolute centuries. This isn't something new. What we're doing is actually improving on past practices. Agriculture itself, we invest heavily in research and development, and in fact the processes, even in my short career, have absolutely increased. Animal welfare standards have increased. To say that we don't care about our animals is an absolute misnomer. We do. A happy animal, an animal that is healthy, is something that we actually strive for, and in many cases that is the pure purpose of what farmers and farming is about. So when we get accused of violating any animal rights or actually taking it to another level, we are concerned when people are outside of the codes of conduct, But the reality is we've got them in place, and if they're not adhering to that, we want to make sure that farmers are making sure that they're doing it legally in a legal practice. And we talk about the different animal rights and products. You've got to come back to the core of where Chris is coming from. He doesn't believe that we should use animals at all, and in fact that's something that is his choice, but as a consumer you should have the right to choose what you want.
Chris, humans are carnivores. We've been eating meat for centuries. Nobody's saying don't be vegan or don't be vegetarian, but isn't it your right to choose? And I don't know anybody that supports animal cruelty.
That's right, people don't support animal cruelty, they're just not aware of it. If the industry is so proud of these practices, I think they need to be more transparent about it. They need to say what is happening inside these gas chambers. Instead of just saying that pigs gently fall asleep, they need to be saying and showing the footage of every single pig who goes into that chamber screaming and thrashing in agony trying to escape. The fact is that none of these animals want to die. They fight to their very last breath, and there are plenty of cruelty-free alternatives. We can live happily and healthily without needing to kill animals. So why wouldn't we?
Yeah, David, just quickly, we're running out of time, but farmers have been through so much in the last 5 or so years. Drought, the floods in Queensland more recently. Are you worried that something is going to happen here if these protesters go onto the wrong farm? Farmers are under enormous stress at the moment. Are you a little bit concerned about what could happen here?
Look, all I'm really asking for is the community to understand and respect the fact that we are some of the best farmers in the world and that we do take our animal welfare seriously. Yes, we are at absolute wit's end as far as the drought, floods, fires in some areas, and it's a really tough industry. But the sense of camaraderie, the sense of community spirit is actually alive and well in the rural communities. But to have this layer, this pressure put upon us is absolutely devastating. And all we really ask for in the community is to understand where your food comes from, make sure you buy Australian, and if you want to find out more, by all means, please investigate, please contact us. We are very open and transparent in what we do.
Okay, look, thank you to you both. We really appreciate this civil and very calm and rational debate. Much appreciated.